Thanks to those joining me live and to those that have been joining me on archive. DStyleBoxing here. Thumbs up the video you're watching on or listening on archive. Those coming in live, let me open up the chat. Check it out, man. So I've been hearing NFL, XFL this, XFL that, XFL this, XFL that. Look, I'm going to get to the title of the video in a moment. My problem with the XFL from jump, okay? But before I get to the problem with that I have with the XFL from jump, is the following. I want to say a couple things. Number one, the WWE is most definitely more accepted now by outlets like ESPN, even Fox Sports 1 now, and it's more widely accepted now than it was in years past. I also don't think Vince is going to mix the right thing he did here. He took out his money. This is not, people need to understand this. $100 million of his money, right? And he took that money and he went ahead and invested into Alpha Entertainment, and he's going to use it to jumpstart this league. I'm sure you'll have partners and all that, but first he has to show here that he's going to make some type of profit. That's goal number one. And that's definitely going to be his goal. But the chances of it succeeding this time, in my opinion, it's just higher than it was back in the day. It doesn't mean they're very good chances, but they're just a higher chance. The mistake that Vince did, he made a lot of mistakes, right? A lot of mistakes. He first of all, the quality of the play was not that good, and that's still going to be an issue this time, right? The footballs they had were slippery. It wasn't good, especially like they had games in the rain and all that. It's all going to be out, no domes, right? I don't know if that's still going to be a thing now, but they always talked about playing in the elements, so we're going to see how that goes, all right? But as far as, all that aside, here's my issue with this XFL from jump. I re-listened to Vince McMahon's opening, right, where he said, this is the only time you're going to see me up front, and they're going to bring in experts. They're going to make they're going to make it safer but faster and more exciting. That's going to be challenging, and that's, but hey, marketing is marketing. Make no mistake about it, all right? Especially in the age of the other advantage it has is social media, okay? If the XFL can get like a Tim Tebow, okay, or a Johnny Football, like, these guys that are popular and sell jerseys, but they're just not quite good enough to be a starter in the NFL. If they could manage to get names like that, yes, they are going to most definitely garner attention, right? There's no doubt about that. Putting that aside, here's my issue. When Vince says this league is not going to be political, despite him saying it's not going to be political, it's already political. Right? Like when he says, well, I'm going to have players sign this, sign that. Now, granted, I don't have an issue with that because it's his money, right? This is his $100 million. I am no one to tell him what to do with his money, right? Now, I don't have to watch the product. I don't have to support the product. And if they're putting it out to the public, then I have every right to speak on it. So it's not that I have an issue with him personally doing it. I just don't agree with it, with certain aspects of what he's saying. Now, he says, no, I don't, this has nothing to do with Trump. This has nothing to do with anything. I've been planning this for a while. I mean, it's an awful big coincidence. It's what it is. But, number one, forcing players to stand for the anthem is political. Like, there's no way around that, right? And this is all you have to do is look at the history behind it. In the NFL, there was a point where players did not stand for the anthem. They weren't even on the field. They were in their locker rooms. It wasn't until the Pentagon started giving millions of dollars to the NFL that they wanted to show the players being patriotic, you know, with a flag and with the warplanes and with the soldiers out there and, you know, the whole nine. That in itself makes it political. It doesn't mean that you have to view it as a bad thing. It doesn't mean you have to view it as a negative thing or positive thing, but it's political by nature. There's no way around that. None. Now, if he wants to mandate that, and no one is forced to sign anything, right? There's like, if you don't want to play for the league, then don't play for the league. I get that. That's the smaller issue. The other issue is when he says, we're not just going to strive for the best possible football. Right? On one hand, he says, no outside distractions, no politics, only football. We're just going to talk football. It's going to be football and nothing else, right? But then, on the other hand, he says, no criminal record. You know, I mean, I was just waiting for him to say, yeah, we don't want any thugs in our league. I was just waiting for him to say that. And I'm sure he'll have that, you know, hey, you want to play football? Well, if this is the only league you can play football in, this is where you got to sign. I get that. But here's my thing, right? And here's the problem. So the way it stands now, this XFL is, and you could tell, he could say it's not political all he wants, but if I go to the XFL Twitter right now, right, they retweeted someone who says, hell yeah, now I could watch football. Please bring football to Dallas. Now, I mean, they do have football in Dallas, right? Everybody knows that. I don't know if they still have their Arena Football League, but they do have the Dallas Cowboys. And then I clicked on this guy's profile, and it was a guy with a hat that said USA and 45 on the side. I mean, you could say all day that has nothing to do with Trump. You could say all day that has nothing to do with the niche audience that is saying that they're tired of all the outside, you know, quote unquote antics, and they just want to watch football and nothing else. I just want to watch football. It's just about football, no politics, no nothing. Well, first, if that was true, then I don't know why you care if somebody stands for the national anthem or not. The argument you're making is that you only care about when the whistle blows to when the whistle blows at the end, right? From kickoff to until the final second of the game. That's all you care about. Well, why do you care about anything outside the field? Why do you care if whether or not a player has a background or something? Why do you care about that? What does that have to do with the football being played on the field? What does what a player is protesting or doing outside of the actual game, how does that bother you in one way or another? This reeks to me of trying to reach a specific audience here. I believe Vince believes he sees a window of opportunity to where he can make a profit with a certain niche audience. I think that's what he sees. Okay, it makes no sense. It's called the Extreme Football League, but you're bragging about how it's going to be safer and it's going to be faster. You know, it's not going to be as long. And then we're going to have good human beings on the field playing football. No, we're not going to have people with criminal records. Now, he's never, out of his mouth, it's never come out, You have to stand for the national anthem. That hasn't come out of his mouth, but he was asked about it, and he says, "Well, look, I mean, we will have players, you get an employee handbook, you agree to that, and if you want to work for the league, that's what you got to do, et cetera, right?" Because the first thing, like as soon as this was announced, I was like, the XFL, okay. The moment it was announced, I thought to myself, "Oh, that's cool. Maybe Colin Kaepernick couldn't play for that league." The first thing I thought about, like nobody signs him to the NFL. Oh no, well, you think, of course, that's not who this is geared towards. That's not who they're looking for here. It's a smart move. It's a good business move. That's why I do believe that it's going to have some success. I don't think it's going to be the failure people think it's going to be. Right? It has nothing to do with, yes, if they sign a Tim Tebow or Johnny Manziel or somebody like that, right? If they can get a player with a name, if they can get I mean, all you got to do, if you could get a college quarterback that wasn't drafted, or you could offer them more money, rather than them being a third or second stringer in the NFL, that could be a starter in your league, and it's in the same state or vicinity that your team is in. That's gonna sell you tickets, right? Same with running backs and the whole nine. But I mean, let's be honest. The guys that aren't in the NFL, right? Because this reeks of, like, when like, any reason you give me, like when Vince says, "I'm here to give people their football back." Like when he says that, to me, that's just a whistle blowing, man. That's what it is. That's what I hear. Because look at everything. Like when you hear people say, yes, there's some things like, "Oh well, the whole concussion thing, it's problematic, and a lot of people stop watching football because it's so dangerous." Is that and the third? Okay, right? And so he's saying, "Oh, we're going to bring in experts." Like he wants to come off as like, we're going to be responsible, not like the NFL. We're going to bring in experts, and we're going to make sure the game is safer. Well, we'll see what they do with it. We'll see what they come up with, right? But then he also says he wants to make the game faster. Now, so far, I don't have an issue with these things. Okay, he wants to make it faster. Okay, fine, good. I'm gonna make the game faster. Okay, but he's gonna make it more exciting. Okay, like I don't know how they're gonna do that, but at the same time, make it safer. Okay, but we'll see. We'll wait. I mean, they got to promote it. They say no criminals, no criminal background. Oh, okay. Like it's just like, you're just limiting your options here. That's all you're doing. That's like saying, in boxing, we don't want anybody with any type of criminal record. Okay. Like, all right. And then, of course, the whole notion of, well, you got to stand up for the anthem. Why is that important? Why is that part important to anybody? Why is that specific? Like, why does that matter? For anyone who says, "I don't care about anything, I just want to watch the game," nobody is stopping you from watching the games. Nobody is stopping you. Who cares if somebody didn't stand up for the anthem? It doesn't do anything to you. It has no effect. If this is only about football, then don't play the national anthem. And that's it. That's my suggestion. But then you're not getting the target audience. You think Vince is stupid? He knows. The first game of the season, he knows Donald Trump's going to tweet about it. He knows he is. Trump will tweet something like, "Oh, it's refreshing to see every player standing up for the national anthem, showing nothing but respect to our country. Great future for the XFL." Like, it doesn't, Vincent doesn't have to ask him to do it, but he knows Donald Trump will do that. Right? That's it. And then you have other people saying, "Oh, the XFL, you know, they got doctors and they're trying to make sure that everything's more safe. Oh yeah, we don't got thugs." I mean, do you know? Like, I remember, like, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. All right. Do you know, on the Bills fan page on Facebook, you know how many times I've read people refer to Tyrod Taylor as a thug? Like, if I don't know what the hell they're trying to say. And then I'll ask them, "Well, what do you mean by that?" Now, on the surface, you might say, "Well, yeah, we don't want, anybody with criminal behavior," and, on the surface, right. But what impression are people getting out of that? Oh, this is going to be the league where they're put in their place, right? It's going to be the league of good people, he said. That's what he said. He literally said, Vince McMahon said, this is going to be a league not just of great football, but we believe of great human beings or some shit like that. Nobody gives a fuck if your starting quarterback is a good person. Okay? No, nobody cares. The same people, okay, that use language like that are the same people that get a boner for guys like Gronk, even though he's a fucking, he's a piece of shit. Yeah, I think someone who purposely rams his fucking elbow on the neck of a downed player is a piece of shit. You think I feel bad for him because he was hit clean last week and he went down? Oh, man, that was great. And the best part of that was a clean fucking hit. And that was no fucking flag. But I don't give a shit. Okay? Good. I'm glad he went down. I heard he's not going to play in the Super Bowl. Good. But that's besides the point. So, I remember the first time I heard about this, I was like, all right, more football. I'm all right with it. And at first I heard him say, well, this has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with this, with that. But then it has everything to do with politics. Now, keep it, just because Vince says it has nothing to do with politics, it doesn't mean it has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with politics. Now, I think he's doing it to make money. I think he's doing it because he knows there's a niche audience for it. If he can get 3 million people to watch these games, it's a fraction what the NFL gets. But if he could do that, he's banking. He already said the league's going to start, okay, in January or early February. That's around the Super Bowl. If you don't think, right, like, this is strategic. That's what this is. That's what it is. Vince could say all day he has nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with that, nothing to do with this. He couldn't say this. He could say it all day, right? The fact that he has to say that has nothing to do with politics, right? Like, if he really meant it, like, oh, this is just about football, and he wouldn't care what the background of some player is, okay? He wouldn't care whether or not they stand up for a damn anthem. He wouldn't care about that. It wouldn't be an issue. In fact, I'm going to look up and see if they stood up for if there was an anthem, national anthem, before XFL games in the early 2000s. And there one I'm going to look that up. All right. And if it turns out that they did not stand up for the anthem in anything other than their championship game, like the NFL used to do, then that tells you everything. Okay. And if they did, then I'll stand corrected. But I'm going to take a look. I don't remember that. I watched like the beginning of that season, right? But then the reason I stopped watching the XFL is it was just terrible football. It was not good. Like the CFL has much better football than that. Okay, so they got to step their game up big time. Now let's talk about player. Like, you know how dumb that is? So you know how many players, get suspended from the NFL or something and they can't play in the NFL? You would think you would want those players. But they are like, this is all, they don't want the best possible football. That's all talk. All right? That's what this is. That's what it is. Right? Now, anyway, we'll see what else is announced. Okay? We'll see if any updates are given. A lot of things could change in 2 years. A lot of things. Right? So we'll see where it goes. But I'm not too sure that I'm pretty positive, actually, that I'm not going to support this XFL thing. I don't like the tone of it. All right? And I'm not even convinced they're going to have good football. Right? You want to watch the best of the best. Everybody knows that's the NFL. Right? Everybody knows that. But Vince McMahon, all of a sudden, he's a moral authority. Right? Vince McMahon, talking about, we want good human beings. Vince McMahon. Oh, yeah, this is going to get very ugly in a moment, by the way. Vince McMahon. Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Who, by the way, he had a troubled past when he was growing up. I think by Vince's own admission, if it wasn't for the wrestling business that his father was a big promoter in, he would have been in jail. But there's some worse things. Vince McMahon, the guy who covered up for Pat Patterson. Vince McMahon, the guy that knew Superfly Jimmy Snuka killed a woman in the hotel room and covered it up. Vince McMahon, the guy who told the wrestler to strike, like shoot and really hit. And when I say shoot, I don't mean a gun, guys. I mean like hit them for real. Reporters that in any way, shape, or form, this is back in the early 80s, okay, what even mentioned that wrestling wasn't real. Vince McMahon. You got to be shitting me. Right? Like you do. You got to be shitting me. You can't convince me, right, that if Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was, one of my favorite superstars of all time, but if we keep it real, okay, what physically abused Deborah, and if that's well known. Steve Austin has a quote-unquote past. He still invites him to Raw. This dude's the biggest fucking hypocrite I've ever seen in my life. This is insane. So, yeah, when you look deep into it, yeah, there's an undertone there, right? And yes, I do believe, I don't think he's doing it to be cynical. I think he's doing it to make a profit. He's not taking $100 million of his own money just to have fun with this. He wants to make money. Okay, we're going to see what states, first of all, let's wait and see, because they're going to start announcing the teams, what cities the teams will be in, okay? And then little by little, they're going to start, I'm sure they'll have some type of little crappy-ass draft. I'm guessing they'll do a draft after the NFL does theirs or something like that, with whatever the fuck is left after free agency passes and all that, because that's the goal. That's why they're doing the season starting in January, right before playoff start for the NFL. That's when they'll do their little crappy ass drafts, and then they'll sign players. So we're gonna see how it's all gonna roll, how it's gonna go. But I'm already seeing the writing on the wall. I do predict that the XFL will be moderately successful for about a year or two, it will surpass what they did the last time, which is not saying much. But it might be around for a couple years, you know, because I do believe they're gonna turn a profit in the first year, and I do believe. I mean, think about it. About a quarter of the country is like huge on Donald Trump. Donald Trump tweets that this is what real football is all about, right? You know he's gonna tweet it. He might even be at the first game. Like, don't be shocked if he's at the first fucking game. All the like, and you know he'll do it to spite the. It's not the first time he'll try to spite the NFL. Vince knows what he's doing here. Okay. Now the whole he's going to say the whole time, oh, this has nothing to do with politics. You know, this, that, and third. We're keeping politics out of this. But I don't know if long term this is a good decision for Vince. And I'll leave it at that. All right. Let me see if I could bring up the comments here really quick. Well, if this shit decides to hurry up. There we go. Make sure you guys thumbs up the video whenever you get a chance to watch. All right. Pierre DeSella says, look at Vinnie Mac treats his black wrestlers in WWE. Well, he doesn't have a good history of it, that's for sure. Boxing Talk says, Vince needs to stop with the football thing. Pierre DeSalinas, this should tell you a lot about his racist tendencies. Milan, Vince, making football great again. You know what? That actually is like his whole thing, right? I mean, you know, that's kind of what it is. What's my stance on instant replays? Asked Milan. Vinnie Mac was accused of several sexual assaults. Well, there you go. Look, we're gonna wait and see what goes down and how it goes down. But do yourselves a favor, like go to Twitter, follow the XFL, look at some of the stuff they're retweeting, right? Look at some of the people posting, the ones that are really supporting it. Like you'll start to notice a pattern. Like there's a pattern there. Okay, now that doesn't mean everything, right? You know, but unless unless they change some of the stances on some of this stuff, you know, like I don't know if I could just observe what I observe. Okay. Now I'm not against it. I'm not going to stop him. I'm not for stopping him from doing it. It's his money. He could do whatever the hell he wants. I need to make that point clear. But we'll see how the league goes down. Like we're going to see how some of this stuff goes down, like, for sure. Instant replay. Look, I'm all for the right call being made. I am. So I don't mind instant replay. I just think they have to speed it up. Speed it up. Speed it up. Come on. Hurry up. You know? And to me, like a catch, like they make the catch like so difficult. Like it's not that complicated. Like, oh, if he has control on the way down,